What up, what up, what up, what up? It's your boy P. Skip. Welcome to the best half hour of your entire Tuesday. You know what time it is. It's time to get into his course. My squad with me, T-Mac.
Hola.
Chili Will.
Gracias, amigo.
Let's do this.
Let's get into this, y'all. First and foremost, happy birthday to me. I'm so excited. It's my birthday, and I'm getting to do my show with my boys. So that's cool. But anyway, let's get into this.
Hey, wait a minute, man.
Happy
wait a
birthday,
minute.
sir.
Happy
birthday
to you. And many more. Damn, people don't try to brush
Thank you so much, fellas.
like that. Who you think
Yeah,
you're dealing
man,
with?
yeah.
Who you think you're dealing with?
It's his humility, the humility.
Wait a minute.
No, you try that on some rookies. Don't try that on no pros like me and Tim.
Wait a minute. Did we have a show on your birthday and you didn't tell nobody?
I told y'all afterwards off the air. If you would have did that, we would have did all this.
So listen, let's get into this, y'all. Congratulations to the LSU Tigers on the win of their first basketball championship for the College of LSU. Yes, they have a bunch of football ones, but this is their first basketball one. And what's amazing to me is you would think at one time they had Shaq, Chris Jackson, which is Mahmoud Abdul-Rauf, and what was it, Stanley Roberts?
Stanley Roberts, yeah.
And they had Ben Simmons.
But I'm talking about on the
same team.
Oh, the same team. Oh, okay, the same. Oh yeah. That was a crew.
To me, there's no way that shouldn't have been a championship.
Yeah.
But the women were able to do it. But in the midst of it, you know, LSU's Angel Reese went and gave Caitlin Clark the John Cena, you can't see me hand wave across the face. And she said, put a ring on my hand because she just got a championship. And Angel Reese has now been labeled, you know, the media went at her. That's thuggish. That's ghetto. That's unprofessional. That's weak. All of that. But when Caitlin did it just the game before, she also waved off a player talking about, at Stanford, I dare you to shoot that. I ain't even gonna come out there for D. That's all.
And South Carolina.
Right, South Carolina. I'm sorry, yeah. South Carolina. That's all gamesmanship. That's all. That's what being a competitor is. But when that competitor has it done to her, it's a big deal. But the big deal to everybody is, why is it the Caucasian woman can do it, or the Caucasian girl can do it, but the black girl can't? If a black girl does it, she's a thug. If a Caucasian does it, that's just her swagger. I'm trying to figure out what the difference is in the two and why is this. And I love the fact that one, Dawn Staley stood up for the girl, for Angel, saying, it's funny how this is, when it was done to my girls, it was cool, but now that it's done to her, it's not. Dawn stood up and said something about it. He said, that's the narrative. One, in women's basketball, where women are not allowed to be competitive and have an edge. And two, black women are not allowed to be who they are. And then Angel got up and said, listen, I've always been this way. And I'm not going to stop being this way for her or nobody else. Not to mention, she disrespected some of our some of my SEC teammates. That don't go right with me. So there really is what'd you say?
SEC conference mate.
Conference, right. Teammates, right. Conference mates. She's like, that don't sit right with me. So I see you right now taking notes already, Tim, but I'll let you finish your notes. Go ahead, Will, step in. What do you think, man?
Well, this is very interesting because for me, it's a couple things. Number one, if we take it to the men and take it to the pros, Draymond Green and what's his name, Brooks, have their issues. Clay, Dillon Brooks, Clay, he shoot a shot and tell people he done put everybody to sleep.
Right.
Dame tell people it's what time it is. Other people do all kind of shimmy.
Westbrook was
Westbrook rock the baby, and we accept all that.
Harden be
Yeah,
eating.
hard. Yeah,
Things like
feed
that.
me. Yeah, so we accept all that from the men, but then when the ladies do it, we seem to have an issue with it, especially when the black ladies do it. I said, now, I like when Clark was doing all that stuff. I didn't see a problem with it at all. And I don't see a problem with Reese doing it. I don't see any problem at all. It wasn't vulgar. It wasn't disrespectful. It's just part of gamesmanship. We all play, you talk crazy, talk trash. That's just part of sports. So I didn't have a problem with it. I think some of it did go to the color line, which, a lot of times these things do. But you take an industry like wrestling. Wrestling is built off disrespect for the men and the women. Boxing. Right. Why do y'all got to have two of the boxers face each other in the weigh-in and look in each other's face and they an inch from kissing? All of this is the type of stuff we promote when it comes to men. But then when the ladies do it, there's a major problem with it. My feeling on it is everybody get to be who they are, long as they're not disrespectful, long as they're not violent, long as they're not, doing anything to anybody. I think after the game tonight, it's the latest news. After the game tonight, we'll be talking about that game. Then we'll start talking about NBA playoff positioning in the play-in game, and it'll be yesterday's news. But I thought it was a good time for us to get this on the agenda in front of the cameras so we can address it. It was an article today written by ESPN that said that it's amazing that when you have a life of privilege and then you have to deal with what was the word? When you have to deal with equity or equality, it seems like you being offended. And I thought that was the quote of the day.
Yeah, I agree. And another sport that's very violent is hockey.
Well, that's another thing. One of the ESPN anchors said, how are we going to get mad? Because she pointed at her finger, and hockey players circle and take off their gloves and fight, and the referees don't even break it up. Sometimes it be blood on the floor. How's that okay for men to do that, and a woman can't even point at her finger? Some of this stuff need to be put to bed.
I agree. Go ahead, T.
Yeah, I think it's much to do about nothing. I think the media is out of order for really, castigating Miss Reese. She's been doing her thing. They didn't say anything but gave accolades to Caitlin Clark when she was taunting other players. And I don't care if it's girls, boys, little league, adults, senior league. Ain't nothing wrong with talking trash. This is competition. Competition is competitive, and competitive goes beyond the physical into the verbal. If you can't stand the heat, get your behind up out the kitchen. And if you are one that is offended by that as a sports writer, sports commentator, sports, related person, you can get somewhere and sit down too. I think the bigger thing that it does is it underscores the racial polarity that we've had in this country since Black people have been here. And once again, this is further evidence of that. When Caitlin Clark, and sidebar, she cold. She's the real deal. I like her game. It was two of the most exciting women's games, college or pro, that I've ever watched were the Iowa South Carolina game, which I really hoped South Carolina was going to win to preserve their undefeated season, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, and the LSU Iowa game. That said, when Caitlin Clark is showing that, and it's not just her, even when Tom Brady, when he's, cussing out his players on the sideline and he's giving the refs the business, he's a passionate player. But when a black player...
Breaking the iPad, breaking the iPad.
Yeah. But when a black player does it, he's a hothead, he's a thug, he's a this, all these negative pejoratives are given. And I think that is part and parcel of the representation, or misrepresentation, I should say, that Black people have received, unfortunately, from mainstream media for a long time. And what the media did was they fed a narrative. And that's why media is called the fourth estate, because they have outsized influence on the psyche of the people. Propaganda. that's used to usually demonize a group of people while celebrating another group of people. We won't even get into all the Hitler stuff and that propaganda to demonize the Jews and elevate the Aryan nation with things that were misrepresentations. So when Miss Reese did her thing, she's a competitor, she was rubbing it in. That's what you do. From organized sports to the playground, anybody that's playing, you playing spades, you can be playing video games. Trash talk is part of competition. And it was underscored by the racial disparities. And I think that what this can be, hopefully, is a case study in 21st century efforts to hold fast to some of the annals of old as it relates to racism and disparity in coverage. But what it should do is unlock the truth that, you know what, we have had a double standard for far too long. Let's go ahead and build this equitable representation in now, because you can clearly see the best team won. They won the game, and all Angel Reese did was due to Caitlin Clark, what Caitlin Clark has done. And if you ask Caitlin Clark personally, the reason why she was talking that trash, that she was talking to the players that she talked to, because she's a competitor. And that's what you do. You try and get into the head of the opponents. And if you can back that thing on up, you go ahead and talk that trash. Which is why I think in part she took the high road when she was asked about it in the press conference. Well, hey, we just try to do our best. They did a thing, hats off to them. All you can do is give respect when you caught that L. So catch that L and deal with it like everyone else. When it's on the black side of things, we have to suck it up and take it. Now, when it's reversed, now you want to make all kinds of excuses. Ain't no excuses to be made. When they beat South Carolina, a team that came into the game 36-0 on a 42-game win streak and the defending champions, after Caitlin Clark did her thing, waved off the little player, she was celebrated as, look at her, she's just tough, she can take. Y'all did that, okay, and that's fine. Jokers that lost got to suck it on up and chalk that one on up and play better next time. Now the shoe's on the other foot. So now she has to suck it up. Media, y'all got to suck it up too and quit this disparity. You got two players doing the same thing. The only difference was one was white, one was black. We've seen that story before. It's time for it to be put to rest, put to bed, and let's move forward with equity. Y'all gonna call Miss Reese out? Call Miss Caitlin out. And for the record, I ain't got no problem with trash talking. Whoever is trash, talk all the trash you want. I was a trash talker when I played sports, and that's what you need to do. So if you don't want nobody talking trash to you, don't be on the losing end of the score at the end of the game.
Here's my thing. Anybody who's ever played sports, like you said, anybody who has a family member, trash talk will happen. That's
part of life.
It's part of life, man. But what I don't like is we've got the scenario that's out there now is for the women now, shut up and dribble.
Yeah.
That's what this sounds like. Shut up and dribble.
That's what it sounds like.
Yeah, but in the reality, the Bible clearly says you reap what you sow.
Facts.
You sowed that. So don't trip. And that's why she didn't get upset about reaping it. That's why she just walked off. Even when the girl was doing it, she just walked off. She's like, I can't say nothing if I'm doing it, and then somebody does it to me.
Exactly.
Well, let me just say, in her defense, none of this venom came from her.
Right.
Like you said, Tim, she understood what she's doing,
Exactly.
what competitiveness is, and she knew she had a black eye coming, and she took her black eye and went and sat down. It's everybody else who's offended by it. She know that's in the game because she's been playing basketball her whole life. So she know that's part of the game. And Tim, you mentioned this earlier. It ain't just basketball. If you playing dominoes against somebody, if you playing spades against somebody, if you playing whatever, Pokino against somebody.
Right. Competition.
That's how it goes.
That's how it goes.
I don't care if you're playing hopscotch.
Anything of a competitive nature has as part and parcel into it trash talking. That's what competition is. If you ain't for competition, get on away from this, because that's part of it.
Yeah, this ain't for you. This ain't for you. I mean, I go fishing with people and we talk crazy about who caught the biggest fish. We all put money in the hat when we start, and the biggest fish collect the hat.
Right.
Part of it.
It's what it is. It's what it is. But let's keep it moving, y'all. You know, there's this whole MVP talk about it's a race, and the top two is Joker, Nikola Jokic, and Joel Embiid, and Giannis is in third. Well, I don't know about you, but I just watched the game last week or Sunday night, and I watched how the Bucks against Philly, how pretty much Giannis had a double-double, almost a triple-double on Jokic. I mean, on Embiid from Philly. I'm wondering how that's, and then here's the other thing. How does Jokic stay in the MVP race if he ain't even playing? He hasn't played in what, the last 5 games, maybe?
6, I think.
6 games. How do you stay in the race if you ain't even out on the court? Yeah, your team is still winning. Your team is still winning without you, so how are you the MVP? You know, so my question becomes, how is it that Giannis has not jetted to the top? Why he hasn't jetted to the top and still stays, and the conversation is still between Embiid and the Joker? Why do y'all think that is? Go ahead, Will. I mean, Tim, I'll let you go because Will got all kinds of stuff to say about this.
I really do. I got a lot to say about this.
Yeah, I think there are a couple of different factors. I would put Giannis up near the top too, as well. I would probably be my favorite, you know, no bias, because he's, you know, the hometown favorite. But in terms of value to the team, production this year, and head-to-head matchups, I think he is the front runner. Now, the Joker has been doing, you know, some marvelous things prior to his extended non-play streak of the last 5 or 6 games. But I think all 3 of them are, you know, worthy of some consideration. To me, it boils down to which one is the absolute most valuable to their team long term. Now, a case can be made for Embiid. I don't know if Philadelphia wins any games if Joel Embiid isn't playing. You know, if they do win some, they certainly wouldn't have the winning percentage that they have now and have had over the course of his career with them when he has been on the floor. That said, when he comes up against head-to-head Giannis typically gets the best of him, which is why I would give Giannis the edge over Embiid if they were the final 2. Jokic, I think it was maybe Kendrick Perkins, you know, shout out to Kendrick Perkins, who had mentioned that sometimes, you know, racism comes into the MVP conversation with the NBA, and I think he caught a lot of flack for that, but we're gonna call it, you know, what it is. Sometimes race plays a factor, you know, and I think that there could be some folks that are trying to push for more quote unquote diversity, if you will, in terms of who wins this. But if that is the case, I think Jokic is what, the 2-time defending MVP already. He has enough hardware. So if he is not the clear favorite that's undisputable, I don't see how they do not give it to Giannis. Now, I think that the final voting comes based on number of first place votes you get, second place votes, and maybe third place, and they do a weighted tally of those. And I think all things considered, if Giannis continues on and finishes strong over these next 4 or 5 games, and they pull out the wins and they win, they get the top seed in the Eastern Conference, I think it's going to be difficult for him not to get it unless some kind of chicanery, you know, is going on. But I think all 3 candidates have, you know, a plausible, arguable stake to MVP. But I would rank it Giannis, Embiid, then Jokic if I was doing the voting. That would be my first, second, and third.
Well, you would have it exactly like I would have it. And some of the reasons that you pointed out, I think, are obvious. But I think these are the other reasons. And I said this to you guys earlier this year on the show. I said, I'm okay with Tatum being the MVP because he's the best player on the best team. I said, but if that's going to be the criteria, if the Bucks pass them up, and now the criteria is the best player on the best team, right? Okay. Well, now the best team is the Bucks. and Giannis is the best player on the Bucks. So he should be MVP based on the criteria y'all was making Tatum the MVP. We don't even talk about Tatum anymore.
Right.
Exactly.
Tatum team record is right up there with the Joker.
Right.
So if Giannis is the best player,
and Will, it's better than Philly.
It's better than Philly. So if Giannis is the best player on the best team, not just the best in the East, he got the best record overall. And then to me, Giannis is the best player because he plays offense and defense.
Right.
He's also the best player because he has an exceptional motor on offense and defense.
Exactly.
And last but not least, Giannis shows up to work every day. He doesn't take a day off. When he's on the court, he's going all out. So to me, it's obvious that Giannis is the MVP of the league. I would say Embiid. I mean, I just witnessed him less than 24 hours ago, and the man is just efficient. He a gangster. He is really, really good. The only reason I think Giannis would get it over Embiid is because of his team record. And the other thing that I think Giannis would get it over Embiid is because Giannis has played more games than Embiid. And Giannis played more games without his Robin than Embiid. Right. So when you put all that in this soup and stir it up and you taste it, I think the only thing you can taste is the Greek freak. That's what it should be. Now, it's going to be interesting how they play it out. But to me, based on criteria that y'all made up when y'all was trying to give it to Tatum,
right?
Giannis has earned the MVP, period.
Yeah, I think the goal line changes from situation to situation. You know, they may feel like we want to make Jokic like the first 3 time in a row MVP winner. You know, I don't know what their mindset is, but let's keep it moving. We got to close after this. I got 3 quick questions. Number 1, the Kyrie and Luka experiment, is it working, yes or no?
No.
Tim, Willie?
No.
And the rumors are out there that Jokic want him gone, that he does not like playing with him.
You mean Luka?
Yeah, Luka. I'm sorry, Luka. It's out there that Luka's like, listen, I want him gone.
I want to hear Luka say that out of his own mouth, because every time I hear Luka talk, he sounds positive about Kyrie. So if that's what's going on, then he shouldn't be two-faced. Because Kyrie is doing his job, if you ask me. I think the problem is they don't have any defenders.
Yeah. Next question. Andrew Wiggins is looking to come back this week. Does that make Golden State a championship contender, yay or nay?
Yay.
You say yay? I would say it doesn't make them a championship contender unless they're in the full playoff. So I would need them to either get that 6th seed, or if they get in the play-in, play their way into the 7th or 8th position. And then I say at that point, it would make them a contender. But I got to see them in the regular playoffs before I can say they're a contender.
Here's my thing, and I don't know if anybody's noticed it. That whole Draymond situation has really destroyed the team.
Oh yeah.
I don't think Andrew Wiggins coming back is going to fix it. That Draymond situation, first of all, you've seen on several occasions where Jordan Poole looked right at him and didn't pass the ball while he was wide open. And Draymond got angry, but he's like, I don't care. You know, so I really think that locker room is split between Draymond and Jordan Poole. And I think because of that, no matter what Wiggins comes back with, I don't think they'll be able to have the chemistry to win a championship. And the Golden State Warriors just don't look good right now. They don't look good. Next question.
Let me just say this though, Skip. Let me just say this. Mm-hmm. The Draymond Green thing, you can tell that that's having an impact on them because their problem is on the road.
Yeah. That, and Draymond's not the leader of that team anymore. He can't call nobody on the carpet about nothing. Like you just need to shut up and not talk to none of us. That's what it seems like has happened. So he's probably got to go at the end of it. Last question, and we'll close with this. The Lakers are trending upward. Does that make them a championship contender?
No.
Yes.
I knew you were
Hey,
gonna say
y'all surprised I said yes? Who's surprised that I said yes?
only the fans. Only the fans. Well, listen, another great show. Meet us back here next week, same back time, same back channel. For the #1 faith-based sports talk show in the entire world.